You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, if you're a New York Jets fan and you're seeing this, I would suspect, considering most of the quarterback options are now gone in free agency, this probably makes you kind of nervous. I didn't expect to see this. This came out of nowhere, generally speaking. Would I ever trust anything the New York Times has to say? Most of the cases, no. But this is, in fact, real, and it's starting to make the rounds everywhere. This is a shocker. Aaron Rodgers and Jesse "the Body" Ventura top RFK Jr.'s list for running mates. As we know, RFK Jr. is running on the independent ticket. I like the guy. He won't get my vote. I like Aaron Rodgers a lot. But this is shocking, and if he decides to do this, he's walking away from the NFL, it looks like, in order to do this, as you can expect, he would have to, right? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has recently approached NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the former Minnesota governor and professional wrestler Jesse Ventura about serving as his running mate on an independent presidential ticket. Both have welcomed the overtures. Two people familiar with the discussions have said. Mr. Kennedy confirmed on Tuesday that two men were in the top of his list. It is not clear if either has been formally offered the post. However, Mr. Kennedy is still considering a short list of potential candidates. The people familiar with the discussion said, Mr. Kennedy said he has been speaking with Mr. Rodgers, quote, pretty continuously for the past month, and that he had been in touch with Mr. Ventura since former governor introduced him at a campaign event last month in Arizona. A representative for Mr. Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Mr. Ventura could not immediately be reached for comment. The involvement of Mr. Rodgers, who is expected to start for the New York Jets this fall at the height of campaign season, or of Mr. Ventura, could add star and independent zeal to Mr. Kennedy's outsider bid. Democrats have been worried that Mr. Kennedy could siphon away votes from President Biden. That's a fact, and that's going to happen. Tilting a close election to former President Donald J. Trump. That's a fact. And Mr. Biden's allies have been working to block Mr. Kennedy from the ballot across the country. Of course they have. Of course they're trying to do that right now. Everybody, I mean, these two guys are among public enemy number 1 and 2 for the mainstream media. Mr. Kennedy, an environmental lawyer and scion of storied Democratic family, has in recent years become prominent for his vaccine skepticism and his promotion of conspiracy theories, here we go, about the federal government and public health apparatus. Mr. Rodgers, too, has increasingly embraced the role of celebrity provocateur and contrarian for his stances on the vaccine, public health, and the coronavirus pandemic. Like I said, for the last 2 years, I've been liking Aaron Rodgers more and more. Mr. Kennedy is expected to name his running mate in the coming weeks ahead of deadlines in states that require him to have a vice presidential pick to petition for ballot access. He initially ran for president as a Democrat, but announced in October that he would run as an independent instead, accusing Democrats of corruptly blocking his challenge to Mr. Biden. Absolutely. Absolutely. They're scared to death of him. In recent months, Mr. Kennedy and his camp have approached at least a half a dozen people with varying degrees of formality to gauge their interest in serving as a running mate. Aside from Mr. Rodgers and Mr. Ventura, he said he has spoken with former Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, Senator Rand Paul, wow, And Andrew Yang, former candidate for president and New York mayor, the two people familiar with the discussion, said. Mr. Yang did not respond. Ms. Gabbard could not be reached for comment. All have turned him down, except for Mr. Rodgers and Mr. Ventura. If anything, it could be interpreted as a hint of where Mr. Kennedy might lean. The domain name KennedyRogers.com was registered last week on a GoDaddy host. Interesting. Mr. Rodgers, 40 years old. Why do they call him Mr. Rodgers? I mean, are they trying to be clever here? Aaron Rodgers, a four-time winner of the NFL's Most Valuable Player Award, leading to the Packers to a Super Bowl victory in 2011, is expected to start for the New York Jets this season. After his debut with the team last season was, of course, abruptly cut short by the Achilles tendon rip. Wow, that's a shocker. That's a shocker out of nowhere. Nobody saw this coming. I mean, they're pretty tight, RFK Jr. and Aaron Rodgers. I knew that. And, of course, he's talked a lot about him on the Pat McAfee show. Aaron Rodgers Tuesday is, like, still the best piece of anything I consume throughout the week during the NFL season, because there's going to be, like, 3 bombshells come out of that Aaron Rodgers thing that's bound to piss somebody off, namely Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's still waking up screaming at night from Aaron Rodgers haunting his dreams. Good. I love that. I absolutely love it. But this is wild. And the football impact side, obviously, I mean, what are the Jets going to do at quarterback if this happens? You know, they're expecting Aaron Rodgers to come back. I just saw an article literally before I popped into this that there's already some discussions over David Bakhtiari at tackle for the New York Jets right now, this very minute. And now we got this bombshell news that Aaron Rodgers could, in theory, be running as a vice presidential candidate with Robert Kennedy Jr. Wow. That's absolutely crazy. I don't know what the Jets would do, how they would pivot to at this point. Jimmy Garoppolo's on the market. Ryan Tannehill's on the market. The draft's coming up. They just signed Tyrod Taylor. You got to think right off the bat what would be Super Bowl aspirations for the Jets could go all up in smoke. You know, he just said a couple of weeks ago he was looking to play 2 more years, probably 3 more years, and possibly 4 more years. So he was looking to try to pull a Tom Brady here at the end of his career and play for quite some time. But if you're Rodgers, you're sitting back going, this is pretty historic. Even if it is the independent ticket, I have a chance to run for the vice president of the country in an extremely high-profile election with a guy that I align with politically. It's going to be a hard, you know, if RFK Jr. legitimately wants him to do that, that's going to be a hard thing for Aaron Rodgers to say no to, I think. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.